Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to install the deck system on this 2016 Chevy Colorado with a 5-foot bed. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so the first thing that we're going to do is use a piece of tape and mark the center of our bed, and that's just going to help us keep everything aligned as we move forward with the install. Next, your kit's going to come with 2 shims. We're going to go down our center line, and then to the left of that, to your driver's side, the first dip is going to get a shim at the front and at the tailgate of the truck. The front one is going to be 3 inches from the top, and then the back one is going to be 7 inches from the tailgate. So once we get that measured, we're going to use some of our isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to clean off our spot where we're going to pull the tape off and place our shim. Just want to rub that down, make sure it's nice and clean. Alright, so once you get your surface clean, you can put your shim down. Again, make sure you have that 3 inches measured out, and then just push on it for a few seconds to make sure that that adhesion is good. Alright guys, now we're towards the back of the bed, and we're in the same row as we put the first shim, just to the left of our center line. We have our 7 inches marked out, and now we're going to go ahead and clean, again, the surface of the bed with the isopropyl alcohol, and then place our shim into place, and then again just push on it a little bit to make sure that you get good adhesion. Next, your kit's going to come with 2 C-brackets, and those are going to be for your tie-down cleats on the front of the truck. They're going to have a circular hole and an oval hole. The circular hole is going to go onto the tie-down cleat like that. Then you're also going to get 2 square brackets with just 1 circular hole in the center. And that's going to go a long ways right on the other side of your cleat. And then you're going to get a bolt that's going to go through those 2 holes with a locking nut on the back. Alright, now we can go ahead and snug this up. And that's going to be a 7/16 on the head of the bolt and a 3/8 on our nut. And you're going to go ahead and repeat this on the opposite side. Alright, so now we're going to need our center vert and our cab side vert, and we're going to connect these 2 pieces together. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to lift our center up. It's got a notch here, and that's going to fall right into the hole on our cab side vert. And then we're going to have 4 provided bolts that are going to go through our center and into our cab side. They're going to go into nut certs that are in the cab side. So there's going to be 2 on this side and then 2 on the opposite side. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten these down. Now, as you're tightening these, you just want to be careful. Remember, it's just nut certs, so we don't want to over tighten them. We're going to use a 7/16 socket to tighten these down. Next, we're going to install our passenger and driver side studs. You can see that on one side you're going to have 3 nut certs on your stud, and those are going to line up with 3 holes on each side of our center vert. And so we'll just line those up. We'll use our provided bolt, go through the center vert and into the nut cert on the stud. And we're just going to leave those loose for right now. Then we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Alright guys, now to align our studs properly and tighten them down, we need to put our ammo cans in place and loosely install our panels. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now that we have everything loosely aligned, we're going to put in our 4 bolts on each side that go from our panels to our studs. And then once we do that, we know that they're aligned properly, and then we can tighten down the 6 bolts that are holding our cab vert to our studs. We can now tighten down our 3 bolts on each side that are holding our studs to our cab vert. Again, we're going to use our 3/8 socket. And again, make sure you don't tighten those too much. They are only going into nut search, so we don't want to accidentally rip those out. Now that we have our studs tightened down to our cab vert, we're going to go ahead and remove our bolts holding our panel down, and then remove our panels and our ammo cans and just set those aside for later. Alright, so we're on the back of our driver's side stud, and we have to install a bracket there. The 3 holes that are closest to our center vert is where it's going to install. It's going to install like this, with our bracket facing up. Your kit's going to come with 3 long bolts that are going to go through the inside of the stud and go through our bracket with a locking nut on the other side. We're going to do that in all 3 locations. Then we can go ahead and tighten this down. We're going to use a 7/16 on the nut side and a 3/8 on the bolt head. Then we can go ahead and repeat that on the opposite side. Alright guys, now we're ready to lift our assembly into the truck. Now the only thing you want to make sure is that the brackets that we just assembled go behind the brackets that we assembled earlier on your tie-down cleats. Alright, now once you get your assembly into the truck, again you want to make sure that the bracket that's on the assembly is behind the bracket that we installed on the truck. And then we're going to use a provided bolt with locking nut, and we're just going to loosely install that on both sides. Now that we have our brackets loosely installed, we need to go back to our center line that we made at the beginning, and we need to check that against the center line that's on the cab vert. So we need to make sure that that line lines up with our line, and then once we get that right where we want it, then we can go ahead and tighten down our brackets. Alright, now on our brackets, as we tighten them down, we're going to use a 3/8 on the head and a 7/16 on the nut. And just be careful that you don't wiggle the assembly around. We want to make sure it stays aligned to the center. Go ahead and do that on both sides. Alright, we got our driver's side ammo can. The way you can tell this from the passenger one is when you put it up on the driver's side, your notch at the bottom is going to be towards the tailgate. And we're just going to set that in the bed for right now. And then we're going to take our driver's side C channel. Now that's going to have the plate at the front, and it's also going to have a notch at the front when you put it all the way towards the cab. And we're just going to set that in place like that. We'll do that on both sides. Now up on your driver's stud, you should have 2 holes that align with 2 nutserts on your stud. And we're going to use a provided bolt and go through those 2 spots. We're just going to leave those loose for right now. Alright, so now we're back at your ammo can, and again there's going to be 2 holes in your C channel that's going to line up with your ammo can. And we're going to use a provided bolt and go through those 2 holes, and we're going to get a nut on the other side. We're going to leave those loose for right now, and then you can repeat those steps on your passenger side. So now we'll take our 3/8 socket and tighten down our 2 bolts that are holding our C channel to our driver's stud. And do that on the opposite side as well. Alright, now we have our driver's side panel, which is going to be the smaller of our 2. We're going to set that on top and then slide it into position. Okay, so now we got 5 locations that are going to attach your driver's side panel to your center vert. We're going to use our provided bolts, and we're just going to hand thread those in and leave them loose for right now. Alright, so now we're up towards the cab on the driver's side, and we're going to put 4 bolts with rubber O-rings into our panel, and that's going to go to our stud on our driver's side. We're just going to loosely install those right now. Now we're on the driver's side at the ammo can, and there's going to be 8 bolts that go all the way around the ammo can. And again, you're going to use a bolt and a rubber O-ring. And you just want to get all those started. You might have to maneuver the ammo can around a little bit to make sure you get all these bolts threaded. Now we can use a 3/8 socket to tighten down all of the bolts holding our driver's side panel in place. Alright, now we need to tighten down the 2 bolts holding our C channel to our ammo can on our driver's side. Alright guys, now to assemble your passenger side panel, it's going to be exactly the same as the driver's side. So just go ahead and repeat all those steps on the other side. Next we're going to install our J-hooks. Now they're going to hook around our rear tie-down cleat, and then we're going to feed it through our ammo can. Alright, now we're going to feed our J-hook through our ammo can, and then on top we're going to get a round spacer. It's going to be round on one side, flat on the other side. The round side is going to go down, and then we're going to get a flat washer and a locking nut. We're going to leave that loose for right now, and then go ahead and repeat that on the opposite side. Alright, each drawer is going to come with a left side brace and a right side brace. So the left side is going to fit in just like that. It's going to have a pinhole on the drawer that'll fit this pin. Just slide that in like that. You're also going to get some bolts that can go through there. You're going to get 1 long bolt for each one, and that's going to be the back bolt, and that's going to feed through the back of the drawer and then into our bracket with a nut on the other side. And then our 2 lower holes are also going to get a bolt and a nut. Our right bracket is going to install the same way, with our long bolt coming through the back with a nut, 2 smaller bolts going through the bottom with a nut, like that. Now across there's also going to be a hole in your drawer and in your bracket on each side, and you're going to get a support rod that's going to go in there. It's going to be a little bit tight, so you might have to force it in there, but that's going to go in there, and then you're going to get a bolt that'll run through on each side. Bolt, put it through. The tube is threaded on each side. Might have to get that started first, like that. Then push it into place, and then get your other bolt started. But once you get all these loosely installed, then we can go ahead and tighten them all down. Alright, now we can use a 7/16 socket on the head and a 3/8 ratchet on our nut. And we'll go ahead and tighten down all of our bolts. And then we can also tighten down the 2 7/16 bolts that is holding our support rod. Alright, once you got the support rod started, you can use a wrench, hold the rod, and then tighten it up the bolt with the 3/8 socket. Alright, now we're on the outside of our drawer, and the pin that was on the left and right side brackets is going to be where we install our rollers. And they're going to install with these long hex bolts. We're just going to thread those in by hand, and then we'll go ahead and give them a turn or 2 to tighten them down. We're going to do that on both sides. Alright, so now we're going to use a 7/32 Allen head, and we're just going to snug our wheels up a little bit. You don't want to over tighten them. You want to still make sure that they spin good, but we just want to snug those bolts up. And then repeat those steps on your other drawer. Alright, now we can take our drawers, align them with the C channels, and then slide them in. Alright, now with our drawers installed, we need to install our wheels up front. What we need to do is lift up our drawer with our thumb. You can see on the inside, you're going to have a spot for your wheel and bolt to thread into. You're going to have one on both sides of the drawer, and then also on the other drawer as well. All right, now we can take a 7/32 Allen head and tighten up those wheels a little bit. And then we're going to repeat that on the other drawer. Next, we're going to install our weather strip on our doors. Now they've been cut to fit each drawer, so your smaller one is going to go on your driver's side, your larger one is going to go on your passenger side. And the only thing you want to make sure you do is that you have this lip is going to be facing towards the inside of the truck. Then you're just going to put it on and kind of force it down, and it should just go right into place. Just like that. All right, so now we're going to install our torsion brace, and that's going to install into the 4 nut certs that are at the bottom of our deck system. So we're just going to put that underneath, and we're going to put the 2 on the outside in first. Just hand tight for right now. All right, in the center holes, we're going to put our bottle opener. On the bottom, we're going to get our same nut cert bolts. And then at the top, we're going to get 2 smaller bolts. And we'll go ahead and tighten those down. Again, we're going to use our 3/8 socket, tighten down our bolts. All right, now we're in our driver's side ammo box, and we're going to tighten down our J-bolts. And now we're just going to snug those up. We're not going to over-tighten them. Just like that, and then we can put our lids on our ammo box. Then we can repeat that on the opposite side. All right, guys, now we're ready to install our ruler onto the front of our deck system. Now the 3 holes that are going to be cab side, which are the 3 on the top, we're actually going to have to drill a 9/64 inch hole into each of those spots. And then we only want to go a 1/2 inch deep. So you want to have a drill stop on your bit so you don't go any deeper. Underneath here is going to be a tube, and we're only going to drill through the top part. We don't want to go all the way through it. And do that on all 3 holes. All right, now your kit's going to come with 3 large screws. Those are going to go on the cab side where we drilled our holes. And your kit is also going to come with 3 small screws, and those are going to go in the 3 holes closest to the tailgate. And the last thing we need to do is install our decked plugs into our drawers. All right, guys, that completes the installation. If you have any questions, give us a call or visit us online. Thanks.